You know what's mind-blowing about the early Christian movement? A small group of uneducated followers managed to challenge the most powerful religious institution of their time, growing from 120 people to over 5,000 in just weeks.
That's fascinating. Liza, how did they manage to gain so much influence so quickly while facing such intense opposition?
Well, the text shows they had this perfect storm of undeniable public miracles and incredible community care. Here's Peter and John standing before the same council that condemned Jesus, and instead of backing down, they're bolder than ever.
Hmm. And what's particularly striking is how their religious leaders responded. They couldn't deny the healing of this man who had been lame for 40 years. The evidence was literally walking and jumping around the temple courts.
Right. And you know what's really interesting? These leaders were caught in this impossible situation. The text says they could find no way to punish them because all the people were praising God. They had all the institutional power, but public opinion had shifted dramatically.
The way the early church handled that opposition seems so counterintuitive. Instead of laying low after Peter and John were released, they actually prayed for more boldness to keep preaching.
Oh, that prayer meeting, it's fascinating. They didn't ask for protection or for the persecution to stop. They quoted Psalm 2 about nations raging against God's anointed one, and then basically said, "Bring it on. Just give us more courage to speak truth."
And then the building was physically shaken. You know what's interesting about that? It wasn't just some emotional experience. They were filled with the Holy Spirit again, showing this wasn't a one-time empowerment.
That's exactly right. Peter alone is described as being filled with the Spirit multiple times. Each new challenge seemed to require fresh divine empowerment. And their response to opposition wasn't just spiritual. They created this radical alternative community.
Well, that's what I find most compelling, the way they shared everything in common. Though it wasn't forced communism like some people assume, right?
No, it was completely voluntary, driven by love and practical necessity. They had all these new converts from other regions staying in Jerusalem to learn more about the faith. The text mentions Barnabas specifically. This guy was so encouraging and generous, they nicknamed him Son of Encouragement.
The ripple effects of their courage are remarkable too. Like, we know from historical records that this confrontation with the Sanhedrin was probably witnessed by Saul, who later became Christianity's greatest missionary.
You know what's wild about that? The very man who was watching with disapproval, probably voting to condemn these followers of Jesus, ended up spreading their message across the Roman Empire. It's like the ultimate example of their enemies becoming allies.
So, what do you think made their witness so effective in that cultural moment?
Well, they had this powerful combination of supernatural evidence and practical love. They weren't just preaching, they were creating this alternative community that demonstrated what God's kingdom could look like. The text says, "Great grace was upon them all, and they were one in heart and mind."
That unity showed up in very tangible ways, making sure everyone's needs were met, sharing resources, caring for the poor. It wasn't just talk.
And here's what I find most compelling: they transformed their society not through force or political power, but through changed lives and supernatural authority. When threatened, they simply said, "We cannot help speaking about what we have seen and heard."
Looking at all this, it's not hard to see why the movement spread so rapidly across the ancient world.
You're right. Despite all the opposition, or maybe even because of it, they displayed this incredible combination of courage and love. It's a powerful reminder that real transformation often starts from the margins, not the centers of power. And that's something worth thinking about in our own cultural moment.